Welcome to episode 12 of the 5th season of Boosters and Space Tape Relaunched, our unofficial Kerbal Space Program podcast. This is being recorded live on Twitch on the 22nd of July, 2023. I'm your host, Kinesis Gaming, and with me are Matoro, Digital Psychosis, and the Red Panda.
Hello.
And this is our KSP1 special.
It's been a long
Hence why
time
I'm doing the
since,
intro.
It's been a long time since we've heard that intro.
It is, isn't it?
This was quite nostalgic.
And I didn't muck it up.
Like your old stuff
that
better than your new stuff.
That was
I like
splendid.
your old stuff better than your new stuff.
So yes, we are going to be doing a KSP1 special, and actually it is, oh wow, I clipped there. Actually, it's perfect timing because there is no KSP2 news at all this week. I don't think there's been anything that I can see.
Well,
They had a whole thing about the technical behind the scenes thing.
they did?
Oh yes, we've had an episode since then.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, mind you, having
No, I
said
thought that was this week. I thought it was in like 2 days ago.
was it?
was it?
I don't know. We're
I don't know.
Yesterday, Developer News Insights 21, Rocket's Red Glare, a technical deep dive into the design of thermal systems in KSP2 from the designer Chris Adderley. Do you guys not keep up?
Well, I feel silly.
Okay, so what Hacky said isn't totally
Should we
true.
start again?
No.
Take it from the top.
I'm going
Hello,
one
everyone, and
week,
welcome back to
and you
Boosters and
guys-
Space Tape Relaunched. My name is Matoro, and this is the podcast about Kerbal.
I'll let it all out.
It talks about how they try to balance their convection, radiation, and conduction, and how they move heat around, and how they simulate it in the game. And
So simply what we're saying is there's no KSP2 news.
No. What we're saying is we're really good at this.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
From that, honestly, I don't want to be the negative Nancy. I'm going to shut the fuck up.
Let's pause the stream while we watch this
You can
video,
have-
and then we can
you
report.
can
no,
have your,
it's
your
not a
NASA
video;
beep
it's
early.
notes.
Oh, it is just notes, is it? How did I miss
It's a
that?
big
Because
long article.
I went through the forums.
It's not on the forums; it's on Steam.
Oh, of course.
Okay. Well, I did look at Steam. I don't go to Steam for KSP news. I go to their forums.
Well, that's just silly.
Well, clearly it is.
That's
Yes, you're right.
preposterous.
What are you doing?
Look,
Everything wrong.
I have scrolled this article, and it's a lot of really cool information about science.
That has
How
nothing to do
science
with
works.
Yeah.
But there's no news. Like this is really cool, really interesting stuff. And I'm going to start the podcast by saying, if you love the cool sciencey stuff and want to understand the mathematics, the complicated parts of this which go into a game like this, then go and read the developer notes. Developer Insights number 21, Rocket's Red Glare, from Chris Adderley. It is found in Steam on the Kerbal Space Program 2 early access page. You'll be able to find it there yesterday. What is yesterday for you guys? Is that the 21st?
The 21st.
21st. Yep.
21st. Okay. Because for me, it's the 23rd because time zones.
Because you have to. You're the one that
No,
has
yesterday's
to
the
be different.
21st. Today's the 22nd here. Your today is
Well-
the 23rd.
Today's, because, it's the 23rd, as in today is it.
Yeah, which
for
means
me.
it would have been the 22nd for you.
Language, words and stuff. Yeah, I'm good. Please, someone get us back on track because I'm losing my brain already.
So
Let's go to personal progress. Oh, sorry, mate. You can have the show back.
No, it's fine. I like this idea.
No.
Personal progress sounds like a grand idea before we get into the meat of today's podcast, because as our good friend Akinesis just said, today is the Kerbal 1 special. So we'll be getting into all of the good stuff in just a little bit. But for now, I'll go ahead and start off our personal progress section with, I really haven't done much since last week. I went to work. I went to work this week. That's about it. I started playing Raft again, so that's been fun.
I've finished Raft. Raft is great.
It is.
What a fantastic title that is.
It really is. But yeah, I was playing that again, and really not much else. It's been quiet week. I haven't really touched Kerbal 1 in a while. I want to. I just haven't had the time or the energy. So, yeah, I've also been packing for a launch trip next week, which is going to involve a lot of stuff potentially. There might be a Falcon Heavy. There's going to be an Antares. There might be a Falcon 9. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the flow. So it's gonna be fun.
Fair.
Speaking of going with the flow, let's flow on over to Mr. Akinesis.
Ah, you've been practicing
don't
these
make me
segues,
talk.
haven't
And
you?
now for this segue from our sponsor.
A word from our sponsor. We don't have any. We're not that good.
Brought
Hey,
to
if
you
anybody
by
wants to
Raid
sponsor
Shadow
us-
Legends.
Right.
Oh.
What have I been up to? I haven't done anything
not.
at all. The only thing I have been doing is editing the last episode, which we recorded last weekend, which I haven't finished. So after this recording, I will have 2 episodes backed up, which hasn't happened in many years.
Finish 11 first, please.
I will. It is pretty much finished.
Cool.
I'm gonna just do the final edit, and then if it's all good, I should have it released either tomorrow or Monday.
Excellent.
You might need some show notes.
Yep. Yes, I'll talk to you about the show notes when
Yeah.
I'm at that stage.
Harass me when you're ready, please.
I've actually finished listening back to all the episodes from the first few series that we did to rename them. I've done all that. I just haven't actually gone on to Libsyn to rename them all. So that's yet to do.
How much did you cringe?
Not as much as I thought I would. The first few episodes, certainly, it was a little bit, as you can imagine.
That's always the case with
That's
any
standard.
podcast. You know?
Yeah.
And this kind of goes back to what you and I were talking about before the podcast about the Pluto special.
Oh. Do you know, when I listened back to that, it wasn't that bad. But that's probably because I think we recorded with 15 people. There's only about 8 that made the edit. So there was a lot of people who got cut out.
Yeah.
It's not terrible listening.
That's also because you edited the hell out of it.
Yeah, I did it.
Just in general.
I did massive editing. And then I released it, and I listened back to it after it had been released and thought, nope, that's still pretty pants, and then pulled it, edited it again, and then re-released it again. It's the only
So
episode
if you guys want to go back and listen to some shenaniganry, the Pluto special.
I must have the original somewhere. So
One thing can be said of
Maybe.
Aki's editing. It's worthy of a like and share.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Full credit
I
to you,
do-
sir.
I do a lot less editing these days because I used to take a lot out. I think
Don't
initially,
sell yourself short. I will blow the whistle in your face.
No. But I did take a lot out. I think Digi told me off a few times, actually. Not told me off, but strongly or sternly advised me to just keep it all in. I was taking it a bit too seriously at the beginning. And
Because
then
it would take you 2 weeks to edit a file.
yeah,
That's too long. Don't go to
every
that much
day
effort.
I was
Yeah,
working on it. But yeah, it's much easier these. In fact, the editing techniques. Maybe you should do an editing special.
Ooh,
But the editing techniques, I'm still improving them now. I've got a lot of, well, as Audacity develops, because that's the program I use for the editing, a lot of macros and stuff now. So the editing has got easier and easier, but the technique's got better and better. And if you listen to these episodes, I've recently changed the way I do things again in the last couple of episodes. In fact, episode 11 that I will be releasing very shortly, that has got a lot of new changes as well. So it should even sound even better again. So if you listen to episode 11 of our 5th season, compared to our first episodes, there is a huge difference. A huge difference. And I think the one thing I've always taken pride with is the audio quality.
Most certainly.
guy.
Perhaps to an annoying extent, but
This guy.
it's got to sound good, man. Because that's all we've got. Because the content's terrible.
Exactly. The content's terrible. Just make it sound good.
It's just got to, as long as it sounds good. Anyway, I'm getting massively sidetracked.
And you know who sounds good here?
I wasn't.
Panda.
Hang on.
The
The
red
only other.
panda sounds great
Yeah, go.
because we've got
What?
Red back.
Exactly.
Red back. We love
Well,
you, man.
yeah.
We
What's
missed
your
you,
personal-
Panda.
Progress. There's a red panda.
Oh, I've been playing a game, Altair Ryza 3. It's a
What's that?
JRPG anime alchemy thing. I always mispronounce it. It's Atelier or Atlieri or anyway,
Have that.
it's a I'll spell it so that people can find it if you give me a second here.
I
Come on.
need to have a look at this.
Insert lift music here.
Atelier. It's a workshop or studio usually used by an artist or designer, but it's in this case
Atelier?
it's a
Atelier.
series that Koei Tecmo makes, and they've been making about 3 a year forever.
No shit.
And yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Going hard on those NASA beeps today, Digi.
Yeah, but
You used up your allocation already.
They're cute.
I mean, look, you didn't have one last recording, all right? Settle down.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
No, you
did.
didn't.
There was
No, you
2.
didn't. Was there?
Yeah. 2
Anyway,
in very quick
it's
succession.
the
I walked
lead
away thinking I
character
hadn't
is
even
always
known.
a female. You get a group of adventures with them. She's an alchemist, or in a couple of them, she hires alchemists, but usually she's the alchemist. There's usually a different mini game with each sub-series about doing alchemy, where you take different components and different components give you different traits in the mini game. One of them was like you had to fill out a Tetris puzzle. The current one, you have to fill in rings throughout a pattern to unlock effects and so on. So you go out, you adventure, you fight battles, you collect materials, you go back to your base, you brew up things, and through it all, you go through an adventure and a story with a lot of really good graphics and cutscenes.
I love this. I
And
love this so very much.
it's a little bit pricey, but about over half of them that I've played were donated by viewer, and they are awesome. I like them. I've got 90 hours in the latest one, and I've been streaming it.
I love it. This is great. This is great. Hey, one question. Suitable for kids, do you think?
Very,
Very?
very.
I have a-
There is usually one scene somewhere along the way that involves them getting into swimsuits for a hot spring scene, and that's
Ah.
about it.
Yeah, okay. You know, that's typical fan service, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is it's fan service. And it's but again, no nudity, no blood.
I have a 10-year-old daughter who I reckon would absolutely love this.
The number one enemy are slimes called Puni, Puni, and
Poonies. Love Poonies.
and they have the absolutely cutest smiles on them, and you bonk them on the head, and they go from having a smile to sort of like a cross-eyed sort of like ouch when they get hit and things, and when you beat it, the monster just fades away. So you collect different materials, you upgrade your gathering gear, the tutorials are pretty good, the stories are pretty interesting, I think. And I just finished up, took me about 90 hours to get through this latest one. I played all of the Ryza series. I played 1, 2, and 3.
Absolutely love it. Very, very, very excited by that. So thank you for the solid recommendation.
They go back. There are a lot of older ones on Steam, and I recommend starting with the older ones because if you can get your hands on one of the DX versions, it takes all of the extra content, the season pass and all of that, which is often quite expensive, and rolls it into one so that you get all the extra outfits, you get all the special recipes that they sometimes add in, and things like that, all rolled into one thing.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pop this in my 400 million open windows because
And the old ones,
I have ADHD.
The old ones also are are not that infrequently on sale on Steam. So you just keep an eye and find one on sale, and it's usually not a horrible deal. I've seen them over 50% off at some points. So
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
but the new ones never go on sale until like it has to have at least been a year. So before it goes on sale.
They release 3 a year, don't they?
Yeah, about.
Yeah. Like that's absurd. That's
It
absurd
used to
number.
be that the 3 that they released in a year were all kind of related to each other. But this last year, they released the second one from a series a couple years ago, and the third one from a series like a year ago, where it had the second one. I mean, so they've changed it up a little bit for like, I forget when the first one came out. It's very old series now.
I love it. This is great. And I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to try and find a way to play this on a really low end system just to see what happens. Anyway, that's fun.
Let's see. The series first released in 97.
It's that old.
Goes all the way back to the first PlayStation.
Wow.
And the most recent one was Rise of 3, which was released March of this year.
Wow.
And
Okay.
Ryza just got an anime, I think.
Oh, full on. That's fantastic.
I mean, just to give you an idea here, I'm gonna throw this into Matoro's chat. The link to the Wikipedia article on it, and it shows, you know, at first it wasn't that many, but then, you know,
absolutely phenomenal. And look, I know
wow.
we're
That's a ton of those.
I know we're getting way off track, but if you love JRPGs, this is where to go. Clearly, holy crap! Yeah, all the way back to the original PlayStation.
Track, but we should be moving along here shortly.
We should. Thank you.
Anyway, it's a series
Red,
that I have enjoyed the heck out of, and one of my viewers recommended it and then donated one to me, and then donated a few more to me, but I've bought some on my own because I like them so much, and I tend to stream them as well. So it, you know.
You want to give that viewer a shout out?
Talria Best.
Name? There you go.
Shout out
Talria.
to Tal.
Yeah, Talria.
Tal.
Yeah,
Tal's got good taste.
Yeah,
guys are familiar with Talria Best. Talria Best is a lovely member of the wider community.
So yeah, he's been very generous in helping support me play these and introducing me to them. So it's very been when I don't want to play violent things, but I want to play things that involve some combat, it's a great thing.
Yes,
and I love the mini games. I love the alchemy mini games. You know, because you can try to max out the recipes and get them better and better.
Oh, you and I need to spend some time talking about this.
You actually, one of the things you do is you take your ingredients and you refine them to make more ingredients, which then you can use to make more advanced things. So,
oh my God, Red, I'm going to be that guy and cut you off because I want to talk to you about all of this off air because you and I can talk for hours.
Anyway, but that's basically what I've been doing while I've been dealing with some medical issues on the side. So that's what I've been up to.
Fair call. Do you want me to just take the reins and roll with my personal progress?
Go for it. I'm dealing with tech issues.
Go for it.
All right, I'll be that guy. Geez, I've done a lot in the last week or so. I went and had a ganglion removed on my wrist. So my wrist is certainly in a much nicer position for me to game with. So I'm feeling much better, and as such, I have something coming up a little later. Which, while I'm not going to share any screenshots because I haven't got any, if you listen to the last episode, I have a bit of an update for you of what's happening there as well. Also this week, I hyper-focused on setting up fish tanks because I absolutely love aquariums, and I haven't had one in a number of years now. Not since all the fishies died, and I've learned so much over the years since then. So I'm going to set up another fish tank, and I'm very, very excited for it. So I've been doing that. Working full time as I have, new job and all of that means that I've been doing lots of stuff there. I have been progressing along with a bit more Monster Hunter with my usual Monster Hunter crew. Diablo 4, been playing the crap out of that. Now the new season has begun. I'm surprised with how much I'm actually enjoying Diablo 4 after Diablo 3 did not grab me. So, it's a nice little change. Yeah, and watching the Blizzard game forums kind of lose their head over changes, and it's like, yeah, I've been through all of this before. You guys just like to whinge. Guys on Reddit, please just settle down.
It's
all I will
Reddit.
say.
Didn't they
I know
say
it's
the
Reddit.
latest patch was literally a nerf patch on purpose?
Yes, but start a new series. Start of the first season. So they've got a story to tell, and it's like nerf everything so that they can tell the story.
But someone
No.
said like they nerfed everything, but then as you expand through the season, you actually get a lot of it back.
Yeah.
So that it's still reasonable, but everybody sort of freaked out.
Look, all I will say is that everyone's big complaint is, Sorcerer's not viable. Sorcerer's not viable. Meh. It's like Sorcerer is completely viable unless you get to, end game freaking tier 80, right? No one really cares about the minuscule issues that you're seeing there until like tier 80.
So I've
Not
never even
everyone's going
played
to
it,
get there.
so.
Settle down. All right.
I mean,
But
I've
yeah.
played the original one, but I haven't played.
Haven't played 4? 4's
No,
fun.
I haven't played. I think the last one I played was 2 and only a little bit of it.
I mean, 2 was great. 2 was really good.
But I
They've been trying.
never played anything past 2. I played Path of Exile instead.
There you go. Quality. PoE and Torchlight.
'Cause
Torchlight was
it's
wonderful.
free. So that was like
Yeah. That's my favorite kind of price. Instead of 140 Australian dollars for
exactly.
for Diablo. Anyway,
I'm
but
a
that's-
cheapskate.
yeah, well, so am I. Like, I have a mortgage and 4 kids. Like, I don't have a lot of money.
Oh my
But
god.
that's
That's
me.
funny.
It
Yeah,
is
right?
really raining outside right now, really hard.
Yay, bucket! It's Matoro. Do you want to lead us on to the next segment?
I believe I shall. Because
I believe I can fly. Oh wait, no.
Yes, thank you. Because you know what time it is. Aki, are you ready?
Yes.
It's time for the
I didn't-
KSP1 special corner.
Yes. And at least that train whistle didn't sound like Thomas the Tank Engine in immense distress. Like you did earlier. I think that was before we went, yeah, that one.
Mental imagery again.
Oh, and the waveform, it's wild.
I'm going to start. Well, okay, so yeah, we're doing a KSP1 special,
Yes.
which
yes,
I thought was good timing because I didn't think there was any KSP2 news, but Red very quickly proved me wrong.
No,
But then
there's still none.
No, that's their fault for posting it in Steam and not on their website. That's what I'm blaming it on. Anyway, I'm going to kick this section off actually by saying,
Kick it off!
that, when I was doing the discovery thing, making us discoverable, immensely discoverable,
Yes.
Yes.
going through some things, we mentioned quite in a few places, and we were in the top 20. We were voted into the top 20 best gaming podcasts by UK gaming site in 2021.
I didn't know that.
All right.
No, I didn't know.
Wow.
What number
That. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never been in the top 20 best of anything.
I don't know where we came in the top 20
Okay.
because they weren't ranked, but they were just all in there. But we're about 2/3 down the list, if that means anything. If it was
Jeez,
whatever order. but-
my 4
Right.
kids don't even rank me in the top 20 greatest dads. Like that.
Well, you are the best, and also by the same token, the worst dad that they've ever had.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. Because I won't let them have Nutella on toast for breakfast every morning.
Why not?
Because money's too tight for Nutella for breakfast on toast every single morning.
It's not a health concern; it's a financial
It's not
strain.
health. It's not health. Nutella's expensive, man.
Oh, I thought it was health related. I'm sorry.
No, no.
Let's be
I was
real.
like,
If
what's
Digi
wrong
could do
with
it, he probably
Nutella?
would.
Anyway,
Anyway.
I am a fat kid that loves cake. No, it's certainly not health related.
Called it.
So, KSP, Kerbal Space Program 1. We should say 1 just for clarity. But yeah, we're going to talk about just that in this episode. More of a nostalgia trip. I've kind of already mentioned the old episodes, but for anyone that's joining us at this stage of the podcast, you can go right back to the beginning and follow us on our journey through Kerbal Space Program if you so wish. And actually, there's a lot of space stuff. The content, although largely irrelevant with the KSP stuff, it's still interesting. But then I'll be
Still good
biased.
times.
Still good
Yeah.
times. And in fact, it was listening back to those that kind of led us on to do this, really. But we'll talk about the first release of Kerbal Space Program. The very first time it was released to the public on Steam. And it came out as version 0.7.3. Now, with that, you didn't get a lot.
No,
You got Kerbin.
In the
There was only Kerbin.
before time.
There was only
Kerbin
Kerbin.
at that point was basically just a sphere.
It was just a painted snooker ball. There was there was water, but the water was solid. It was
Yes.
it was just the whole
Yes.
planet was just a texture file over a solid sphere, including the water, so you could walk on the water, and the waves weren't animated or anything. It was a very still time.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
You only got a few parts, and the rockets used to noodle rockets because there were no struts or anything like that. The skybox, the sun was part of the skybox. It was basically painted onto the skybox. There was no star as such. No symmetry in the VAB.
Oh,
No time acceleration.
no.
And but we came in at and you, by the way, you can still get this. You can still get version 0.7.3 if you look for it. It didn't take much googling. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes if you're interested in playing it. But I mean, it's a game that you can play for a few minutes, and you're
like
done.
you build a rocket like that is literally pod, tank, engine, and fins, and that's it. And you
That's pretty much
make
it.
go up, it launches, and yay, that's it. That's the end of the game. Like that's all you
No
can
map
do
view.
in it.
So it had more
Nothing.
functionality than the first release of KSP2.
Oh no, you went there.
I had to.
Oh.
I had to.
Oh.
Ouch.
Sorry, I had to. I'll be the one to take the downfall for it. Carry on.
Well, I thought it would be fun to see what there was before version 0.7.3.
Oh,
So,
yes.
we'll rattle through it.
In the
Version
time before
0.0.
time.
The time before time. Before time. Version 0.0
Before
was not a public release. Kerbal comes from the name Philippe, who was the guy that invented it, or known in the forums as Harvester. Gave small figurines he installed in modified fireworks as a teenager. So that's where Kerbal came from. And you can, I think there is bits around the internet. You can see him, I think there's like his school books and stuff. He was doodling these sort of things down. So Kerbal actually existed. Yeah, so Kerbal actually existed a long time before it was ever,
That's fun. So Kerbal's been around for decades.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Harvester was hired by Monkey Squad in 2010. The company did not develop software at the time. They were just an advertising company. And development of Kerbal Space Program was authorized by Squad co-founder Adrian Goyer in 2010, but deferred until Harvester could be released from marketing set projects in progress. Kerbal Space Program first compiled on the 17th of January 2011. Version 0.1. The editor ran in the flight scene, the vehicle assembly building not being implemented yet. The RT-10 solid rocket motor was implemented and looks only slightly different from today. The Command Pod Mark 1, TR-18A stack decoupler, the LV-T30 liquid fuel engine, the FL-T500 fuel tank, and TT-38K radial decoupler, are implemented, but barely recognizable. Kerbin was flat. Kerbin was a floating tile with generated terrain. And instead of achieving orbit, you could launch past its edge and fall forever into the void.
Don't give the flag Kerbiners any ammo, please.
Flat Kerbin. Flat Kerbin. Oh my god, the Flat Kerbin Society. Seriously, if Private Division don't make reference to the Flat Kerbin Society somewhere in KSP2, they have missed a shot. They have totally missed a shot because it's hilarious.
While the graphics were 3D, the game was 2D, and one could fly and build vehicles only in the altitude longitude plane, unable to turn north or south, unable to.
Could it be done in 4D?
Yes.
And able to attach parts to only two sides.
That's
version 0.2.
amazing.
This isn't as painful as it sounds, by the way. It does skip a few versions in a minute.
It worked.
Version 0.2.
It just works.
Kerbin was a textured 20-kilometer radius assumed sphere with no terrain, presumably with 1/900th of its current mass, and an orbital speed of less than 442.9 meters a second. There was a fixed moon, or mun.
Wow.
Another textured smooth sphere with little resemblance to the moon that we know today. Staging is added. Instead of the current vessel origin rendering system necessary to solve floating point jitters, the game used the center of Kerbin as the origin. The game is now in an early 3D format. Version 0.3, the parts tabs were implemented in the editor. Some terrain was placed in the immediate vicinity of the pad, but Kerbin was still 20 kilometers and smooth beyond it. The moon was removed. The game featured an interface including an average propellant gauge, RCS propellant gauge, vertical speed and altimeter, Kerbal port traits, G meter and a throttle indicator, most of which did not function. And
So
electronics...
Ultimately, what you're telling me is that this particular version, with all of these upgrades, was still a victim of GRU.
Yep.
Stealing the moon? Stealing the moon? Anyone? Yeah? Yeah?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the old adventure. You've been eaten by a GRU.
No, not that one. No. Sorry, I have children and have watched the absolute hell out of GRU and the Minions.
So, no, I was thinking back to the old text adventure games that I played when it first came out.
They were
Oh, wait, I
fantastic.
forgot. That tells you I'm old. Whoops.
Mate, I think we all are at this point.
Yeah, but some of us are older.
It's all just a number. I'm 12 deep down. Sorry, go on, Aki. We've derailed enough there.
An electronic sign, possibly for mouse over information, appeared. It showed quotes and countdowns in this version. Version 0.4.
Hang on, electronic sign, did you say? Like next to the launch pad?
Yes, I guess so, for mouse over information.
Huh.
If it's got, it showed quotes and countdowns, so if it's showing the countdowns, it must be on the...
That's very cute. Yeah, I like that.
Version 0.4, the disk terrain generator seen in early releases is implemented, giving Kerbin its current global topology, except for a few later modifications.
Nice.
And it was generated using libnoise library. And then it goes to version 0.7.3, which was the first release.
And on the
So the
seventh
notable-
version, Kerbin was given its terrain.
It was. Notable features of the first initial release: downloaded over 5,000 times. That's not bad for a for a game that it was. And even back then, you can see videos of it, like Scott Manley and stuff. They did challenges.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty to do.
Oh, yeah.
No SAS, although SAS module is implemented and generates torque. The only engine, the LV T30, can only be fed by one FLT 500 attached to its top. The AV R8 winglet is just a fin and can't be used to control the vehicle. It is nearly impossible to achieve orbit. Nearly impossible. That was one of the challenges.
That would have been the challenge, yeah.
Kerbin is the only celestial object, does not rotate, and is a mirror reflection of the example planet from Libnois, we mentioned earlier. The sun is a directional light source at infinite distance. The render distance is only 1,500 kilometers, and Kerbin will sink into the sky background, vanishing entirely as that altitude is achieved. The original intercontinental Kraken had not been fixed. Moving far away from the KSC will result in shaking and even rapid unplanned disassembly, rude events, due to floating point precision loss. So the Kraken was there from the very beginning.
Amazing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's great.
And the moon didn't reappear until I've lost it.
Oh, you lost the moon? That
I've
seems
lost the moon.
on brand.
Oh, version 0.12. So there's quite a few releases since 0.7 going in the obvious order.
Mhm.
So yeah, the moon didn't come back for quite a while.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was the very early stages of the Kerbal Space Program. You can still download 0.7. It's easy to find. It's worth a go. And you can see how far it's actually come. So the next thing I wanted to mention is the planned features that never actually made it into Kerbal Space Program 1.
Oh, here we go.
And listening back to our older episodes as well, as I have been, as you know, because I keep saying it, we talk about a lot of things, and they are mentioned.
And nothing at the same time. It's amazing how we do that.
Screaming into the void.
Into the void.
But there was a lot of stuff that was talked about as planned feature, multiplayer being one of them, that never actually made it in the game in the end.
Yeah.
So the ones that never made it but were planned, resources beyond present scope, which would be fuel, oxygen, electricity, Steam achievements, competitor rival space agencies, which would have been quite fun. I don't know how difficult that would have been to implement, but it's not necessarily talking about multiplayer. It's talking about a competition.
AI-controlled agencies.
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
have been
yeah.
complicated and would have added an extra level of challenge. I would have liked that.
Winning the contracts on that sort of stuff. Who can build it the cheapest and all this.
Yeah.
Weapons or military features. Now, it mentions it, but I don't think they ever really planned to put that in there because it was never that sort of game.
No.
Autopilot systems, alien civilizations, terraforming, because that's something we...
Oh, wait, not terraforming. Sorry.
Not a terraforming.
No, it's not. It's not Aki in the nude, all right? Calm down.
Okay. I get worried.
No one needs to see that.
Keep your pants.
But there's something we spoke about before as well, is deformable terrain. We were talking about that in a long past episode.
I remember that.
It's
Conversion
what is
to
it,
a different game engine.
faction? Yeah, conversion to another game engine. Wow, that would have definitely been interesting, wouldn't it?
Mobile version. I do remember that being talked about. But then you've got, what's that? There is a game that's similar to it, isn't it, on the mobile you can get? I can't remember what it's called now.
Simple Rockets?
Simple Rockets. Yeah.
Simple Rockets.
The big one, not the biggest, but one of the biggest, life support systems never made it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
And the last one, of
far too
course,
challenging,
is multiplayer, which has been a topic all the way through KSP's development. And they were talking about doing it. They were looking at ways to do it. But obviously, as we know, KSP1 sort of tailed off and KSP2 came. So there, yeah, the planned features
Stability,
that never made it in.
netcode. It's a pretty big thing to do all of that.
Yeah. But there is some here they haven't mentioned. One being more planets. Because remember Gas Planet 2 was forever being mentioned.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah,
GP2.
yeah. That never
So
happened.
after that, we wondered what Harvest is up to these days, the creator of Kerbal Space Program. Because he left Squad in 2016, which was about a year after 1.0 was released. And he left. He couldn't take Kerbal Space Program with him because that actually belonged to Squad, even though he created it. But he's formed a company called Floating Origin Studios, and the website is just that, www.floatingoriginstudios.com. And his game that he's creating now, which is his, is a game called Balsa Model Flight Simulator. And it is a game where you create your own model airplanes and then go fly them. And before we started this stream, we watched the YouTube video, and straight away you can tell it's born of KSP.
Oh yeah.
The video will be in the show notes. I will put the YouTube video link in the chat. It's just under a 2-minute video, and if you play KSP to any extent, you need to watch this. And I think we've all agreed that we're going to go and try it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. The immediate nostalgia hit was just absurd. It was like, wow, I'm looking at Kerbal Space Program like instantaneously, and it felt right. It felt right just from a 2-minute video. It's like this is exactly what I want. And it's only planes. Admittedly, it's got all of the dogfighting, right? You can add guns and all of that.
You can put guns on your model airplanes.
You can put guns on your model airplanes, which, physics doesn't make sense, but whatever, because they're made of balsa, but okay. That's not the point, right? It's got all of those mechanics that I'm not particularly interested in. They're cool. And there's clearly multiplayer involved because you can dogfight. It looks great, it looks clever, and it's Kerbal Space Program, but not.
It hit the nostalgia.
Hit the nerve right on the mark.
It really did.
Yep. If you've ever been to the dentist and you've needed to have an injection to have your mouth numbed, and they get right on the nerve, right? It hit that nerve. It hit that nerve perfectly. The whole face went numb instantly. Like, it was perfect.
And who doesn't want guns and missiles on their remote control planes?
Well, exactly. Particularly when they're made out of balsa. Like, how would that even work? Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to derail for just a second. How would that work in real life, right?
What, on tiny little bullets?
Like air rifles sort of thing?
BBs?
Like BBs?
BBs.
Would BBs work? Could you put a BB on there?
Maybe.
I don't see why not.
Automated somehow.
It's small enough.
BB.
No, from the robot from Buck Rogers. BD.
Oh my God.
Meaty.
Wow. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
I used to watch Buck Rogers.
Useless font of endless, useless knowledge. Whee!
Yeah, hi. That's my name.
And now the nostalgia's really starting to bleed out.
Yeah, I'm falling apart here. Please change the topic.
All right,
Keep
well, if we
moving.
want to stick
Go
on the
wacky.
nostalgia
Go
train.
wacky.
Yeah. Talking of nostalgia. So I've been compiling a list of KSP nostalgia that should hit more of those nerves, Digi. And
Here we
hopefully
go.
not just the ones in your mouth. So I got thrown off a bit. So yeah, the nostalgia list. So I'm just gonna say some things out, and we should all appreciate, any KSP1 player will appreciate these. So I'm gonna start a couple down, but because we mention it all the time, soup.
Oh,
The
Yay.
atmospheric soup,
The soup.
where drag was calculated on individual parts and
why are you at
fairings.
soup?
and nose cones meant absolutely nothing. In fact, your rocket would perform better if you didn't streamline it. If you did
Because
just have
you
it
had
as a
fewer
big blunt
parts.
brick.
The good old days.
Yeah. Fewer parts. Yeah. Less weight.
It was part count, basically, wasn't it? Not the shape of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Talking of soup, friend 4.
I'm
A
at the
mouth full
soup
of secret
store.
soup.
Why are you at the soup store?
I'm at the soap store.
Why are you buying clothes at the soup store? Ew.
You.
So, soup.
Soup. Couple here. KSPTV,
Oh.
which has just made a comeback with the recent AMA.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we were all, not obviously, but we were all KSPTV streamers.
That's where we all met.
It's where this podcast was born.
Mm-hmm.
And going
And
off
I
the
was
KSP
one of the last ones clinging on with his fingernails as everybody else had left. And every week I would have to say, I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, you can watch. And then I'd list off all these people and have to say such and such at such and such a time, but not this week. And such at such at this time, but not this week. Because that's what I was told I had to do.
it did tail off, didn't it?
You know, the funniest thing about KSP TV is I submitted an application, to join in. Not a formal application kind of thing, but I requested to join, and they came back to me and they said, "Oh yeah, we'd like you. That sounds pretty good, but you'll have to use a real camera." And
Yes.
I
and
remember.
I said, wait, so I can't use my face rig. I have to use an actual camera, and they said yes. I said, so if I don't use a real camera, you're not going to let me do this? No, think of it this way: that we will let you do this if you use. Like, no. So I literally
No.
turned them down. I literally said no and turned them down, and then like a week and a half later, something must have happened behind the scenes. I don't know. You guys probably know that side of it better than I do. They came back to me and said, okay, you can do it with face rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a weird rule, wasn't there, of no face rigs.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know why they had that rule, but
Face rigs were new at the time, weren't they?
yeah, they really were,
Uh-huh.
because this was like 8 years ago,
Yeah. I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, you were probably the only person I know of that was questioned about that.
Well, no one else was using it, so
Mm.
yeah, it's like I just don't want to use a real camera. It's a privacy thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think most people
Yeah.
can understand that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a bit of
It's your
face rig
thing.
version at the beginning.
Actually,
Yeah.
lately I've been using PNG more than face rig, but still the effect's basically the same.
Yeah.
Well, the other one was Squadcast, when Squadcast eventually came out,
Squadcast.
Oh yeah.
which was so
God, I remember
KSP TV was streamers basically demoing the game on
Right,
Squad's channel, whereas Squadcast was it was the developers themselves
Mm-hmm.
talking about Kerbal Space Program.
The
Which
official
they
updates every
eventually,
week, or
Yeah.
almost every week.
and they eventually got streamers to come in to do it because the devs were devs; they weren't streamers, so they weren't used to being on the camera and talking to a live audience, that sort of stuff. So it wasn't working very well. So they started to get the KSP TV streamers to come in and basically host them, be the go-between between the Twitch audience and themselves.
Yeah, I
So
remember
yeah, that was Squadcast came in at the end. And just because we're mentioning all of that, Casper was
Oh,
the
we all remember
community manager.
Casper.
Shout out to
And-
Casper.
Shout out to
Shout
Casper
outs to
because he was
Casper.
seriously hands-on. He was always in our chats and in this podcast as well. And you listen back to the original, our early episodes, and he's forever in the chat. And he used to give us information about what's going on and correct us if we were wrong or explain something we didn't understand it fully. He was a very, very, very hands-on community manager.
Hmm.
It was a shame when he left.
Yeah, big props to that, dude.
Without a doubt.
Okay, as we were talking about version 0.7 earlier, the early launch tower and the problems that caused, because it was
Good
a solid
times.
object.
Okay, I missed the
Right.
launch tower. I'm just gonna say it.
It was a
Oh.
solid object right next to the launch pad. The amount of times that a rocket would hit it and just explode. It was a rocket killer. A lot of people will remember the early launch tower, which they eventually removed and never ever came back, did it? It never came back.
No.
No, it just went to the northeast corner of Kerbin.
Actually, going on that, for those that don't know, I don't think it's really a spoiler at this stage, is it? The game's over 10 years old. But there are lots of Easter eggs around the whole solar system, which is a nostalgic thing in itself. But the island runway...
If you didn't know, I visited every single Easter egg in order on KSPTV back in the day.
There you
Nice.
go.
I left a Kerbal at every single Easter egg
Oh,
and every
there we
single monolith and every single point of interest, including the mole hole and all of that.
Even
I think-
even the monoliths that ended up below the textures.
Well, no, not those. The ones you could get to without cheating.
Right.
yeah, because updates...
Yeah,
Because
one
they-
of the things vanished.
Like
yeah.
the cave on Tylo.
Yeah.
Come on, Eki.
Carl Sagan's face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the moon
gone.
arches, the crashed UFO,
Yeah.
Yep. The
the
Kraken.
Neil Armstrong, the Kraken. Yes, yeah, there was a Kraken, wasn't there, when they killed the Kraken?
There was an actual Kraken. What planet was that on again?
Bop.
It was one of Jules' moons. Bop, was
Bop?
it? Yeah.
Bob?
Bob,
Yeah.
I think,
I
yeah.
actually landed a craft right in front of it.
Yep.
Yes, I went to visit it. Volhenge.
Yes.
The,
Volhenge. Ah.
Face on Juna.
Yeah.
That's one
I
of my
remember that.
favorite. I think that is my favorite one, actually. There's quite a few on Juna.
Yeah, there are, aren't
Yeah.
there? Oh.
The remember the what was it? The asteroid going around Juna, or was it Ike? What was it called? There was like a glowing
Magic
asteroid.
boulder. It was around Duna.
The magic boulder. It was around Juna. Yeah.
I think that
Yes,
was the
that's right.
one that I didn't get to.
I think because that one's gone. Like they completely
Yeah.
removed that.
It's still
Yeah.
in the code, but it just doesn't appear.
Still in the
It-
code, but it's
they never-
dead.
Yeah, they never updated a lot of the Easter eggs. I don't know. In fact, it'd be interesting to go back and see what is there now.
Hmm.
But there was the pyramid on Juna as well that used to play the signal.
That's
You see.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, had a sound file that played a signal when you got close to it. Because I think the original idea was visiting all the monoliths and stuff, and
Yep.
visiting the pyramid on Juna, getting the sound, and you would unlock things by doing that. That was one of the original ideas, I believe. Something that they might be doing in KSP2 now, actually. But yeah, the Kerbal system is littered with Easter eggs.
Oh, it really
What's still accessible, I don't know. It
The
would perhaps
cave
be.
is still buried, as far as I'm aware. But I think almost everything else is accessible.
Yeah.
There's still a
Volhenge.
monolith or two that are buried.
Okay.
I know that much for certain.
Yeah. How did I get onto that? I've lost my way now.
Well, you're not going through the list in order,
No, I'm not. That's my problem.
which is fine.
Bumpy runway.
Good
The-
times.
That's still there.
Yeah, yeah. It's called
Mhm.
the runway.
I
It's just-
think I remember. Yeah, that's right. Vague memory here of determining that because of the texture file, the bumpiest surface in the entire game was the runway.
Yeah. There was no
Yeah.
surface on any moon or planet that was more bumpy. Everything was
That's-
smoother than the level 1 runway.
Yeah,
So Bumpy would dismantle things on load.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there and doing the calculations and then going, well, I'll be. It, by definition, is the bumpiest thing in the entire game. You're better off taking off from the grass.
Well, yeah, you were.
Yeah.
and potentially still are. I haven't
landing.
tested it.
I
But
know,
yeah,
I need
but
to go
craft
do this again.
dismantling and bouncing on load. When you load your craft and it was on the runway, and you should do somersaults in the air and then just explode.
Yeah.
That was always. I think it still does that sometimes, to be honest.
And then they would explode, which wouldn't be random, but
No.
It turned
Yes,
inside out and exploded.
Makes us segueing down the list. Random explosion sound that seemed to do nothing.
even in
Go on,
time
Digi.
warp, which is weird.
I was gonna say craft dismantling on load is kind of still a problem.
Yeah.
KSP2.
Yeah, there might be a running theme between the two games.
Yeah.
We did wonder if the random explosion was the launch clamps. Remember the launch clamps flying into orbit?
Yes. Yeah.
Having to time warp to get rid of a stage that would not jettison
Okay, to be fair, you still have to do that.
sometimes.
You're not wrong. Sometimes.
Realizing that your computer had sticky keys.
Oh, yeah.
The left shift.
Sticky keys.
I need
this
to go
key
faster.
sticky?
Shift.
Oh, no.
Whole game just minimizes, comes up with a warning. Sticky keys. Do you want to enable sticky keys? No, I don't.
No! My rocket is spiraling out of control.
I'm in the middle of staging.
It's just landing on the moon. Ah!
And then you try to eject the Kerbal, he gets whacked and starts going all spaghetti.
It's spaghetti Kerbals.
Landing on your helmet and not dying from re-entry with the Kerbal.
God,
Yep.
I forgot about that one. Yes. Yeah, if you landed on your helmet, they wouldn't die.
I always said back
There's
then the
another joke there.
Kerbals are made of flubber.
Flubber.
Well, when we asked how they could get between sections, they did say that they were primarily liquid-based and had no bones.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes,
So-
yeah, because they could squeeze through the tiny duck
Yes.
bolt.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Kraken, probably the most infamous Kerbal
Seriously,
bug.
I don't know if
but-
it's the most infamous considering what's next on our list.
Well, the Kraken, apparently, the game Kerbin was the center point of the game, and your rocket or Kerbal, whatever, would be moving away from that center point, which caused a lot of things to go very wrong when you got a certain distance from them. The way they solved that is to make whatever part you're focused on the center point of the game, which basically means if you launch a rocket from Kerbin, you're not actually launching your rocket from Kerbin. Kerbin is moving
You're
away from the
pushing
rocket.
Kerbin away from.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
take it and push it somewhere else.
Yep. Yep.
The good old mod limit and using OpenGL because the game was 32-bit. Because you could only have a few mods at a time. And when you went over that limit.
And then there were mods to take it and push that limit somewhere else.
Yep.
Oops.
That was good times. Wow.
Yeah, mod
I
limits.
don't miss 32-bit at all.
No. I think it was a immense celebration. I think it was, 1.1, I think, when it went to 64-bit.
I think so.
Something like that.
Sounds right.
Something like that, yeah.
Rover wheels, wobbling and sliding.
Don't they
Still a
do
thing.
that?
They still do that.
All three of us. That's still a thing.
That's still a thing.
But
we
less so.
accepted it,
Less so.
And that,
Well, remember, people used to complain that they couldn't get any grip on Minmus. Their rovers would slide all over the place.
You see, on
And be
Minmus, I
like-
get it. It looks icy.
Yeah.
It looks slippery. But on the
low
moon,
gravity.
Technically, that's glass, not ice.
Well, and there's very low gravity. So really, you need RCS. So they actually changed it so the wheels would have more grip. But actually, that was a player problem more than it was a game problem because the game was being reasonably realistic.
Yeah.
You just need to put ion engines pointing straight down, and then your wheels have grip.
There you go.
Exactly.
There's always a way around it. Rude events,
Good times. They're still a problem.
rapid, unplanned disassembly events. Yeah.
Yes.
wait, is that
Confet-
root events?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Don't put too much thought about it. No, like, just
It
no,
should be
don't.
RUD events, but
It should be RUD, but rude sounds way funnier.
It does.
Yeah.
It's just
rude
rude.
events.
It's just
Confetti
rude.
fairing.
That's still a thing.
Still a thing. Love
Why
it.
would anyone have? Why was it ever an option?
I don't
should never-
understand the logic behind confetti fairings at all.
I think what's even more strange about it is that confetti fairing came out before the panelled fairing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it did. It did. And the reason why I think was because code.
Maybe
Like they worked out
maybe.
how to do it. They just hadn't worked out how to turn it into sectional.
Yeah,
They just
so
went, cool.
Sir.
Here are the polygons, confetti. Like they fly off. Cool. That's enough. We'll fix it in post. Release the game.
But for those that might be unfamiliar with that, it's just when you stage your fairing, instead of it splitting into 2 or 3 or 4 panels, the whole thing just exploded into confetti
And destroyed your solar panels.
Yep.
and destroyed. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah.
That's
It was always
that
a
was
bit of
about
a,
as bothersome
"Ah,"
as the next
moment.
thing on this list.
Mark III command pod hatch was off center.
Oh, painful.
Why was that ever a thing? I think that's one of the main reasons I used Venstock part revamp, because it corrected that.
Oh, Vince was
Yep.
so good.
Because it was so irritating.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, fuel tank textures wouldn't align when stacked.
Oh, God, why did you remind me?
Yep. The black and white lines did not line up, no matter
No, they
how
did
much you
not.
rotated it.
For those listening that did not experience the earlier versions of Kerbal, just know you have it so good these days.
Yep.
You don't know you were born.
Yep.
What's that Bane
Yes.
quote? We were born into it.
We were born into it.
You adopted the darkness. We were born to it.
Thank you.
Molded by it. There you go. That's
You've
my
reminded me
bag.
of something as well. Remember Bane Cat? I came across that
Oh my God,
recently.
Bane
You remember
Cat.
the Bane Cat videos?
Yep. Oh, terrible.
And now I'll have to kill you.
We were born in the
Oh.
tank, molded by it.
If no one's seen
Give
Bane
me a-
Cat, you got to Google Bane Cat. Just watch it.
And you know, being born into it, it all started with a demo.
Oh,
Hang
the
on. Digi's poised for more
The
Bane. I'm
demo.
waiting.
No, forget it. No, move on.
KSP
Like,
had a
the
demo.
Holy crap.
Imagine that. A demo.
In
A
the
free
time
demo.
before time.
A free demo that anyone
Those
could
were
play
good times.
for free.
Oh.
That was version
One of the demos.
13.3, I think.
There were a few. Yeah, I think that was the last demo version.
Okay.
Can you still get the demo? Actually, that
I
was
still
the last
have it.
demo version. Yeah, there was. I think there was 3 demo iterations. Obviously, they updated as they went on. But I think the final demo version was it was basically like 0.7 but modernized. So you had the moon. I don't know if you had Moonmas or not, but you certainly had the moon, and you had a few rocket parts. You had enough to get you to the moon, and it was free.
Best
The
price.
Flying Tiger console port.
There's a name I haven't thought about in a while.
Remember that cluster bomb?
Whee!
So Flying Tiger were hired in to port port KSP over to consoles, and did a horrendous job.
Oh,
And the 1.0 on the consoles, it was. Do you know what? I'd say it was worse than KSP2 release.
You know, that's fair.
So if you're bothered by the KSP2 release, the console players had it even worse by quite a long shot. I mean, the short version is eventually they got another company in to fix it all, and they did. And I think the console's very viable.
I've played the
Game now.
console version since that. Yeah, it's solid.
It's fine. Okay, good.
I mean, it's a
But
pain building
originally-
with with any of the console controls, but that's a given.
Yeah. But originally, the console was unplayable,
Mhm.
more so than the first release of KSP2.
Yep.
Well, speaking of this next item, though, I have some on my shelf back here for those watching.
Oh yes.
Hey.
Little
God,
3D
I forgot
prints.
about those. Yeah. So Kerbal Space Program merchandise you used to be able to get, and one of the, I mean, I've still got. This was a gift from Squad for being on KSPTV. I think a lot of
Yep.
people.
I have
got
mine
these,
I
as
got
well.
one
yeah.
of those.
A little
Yeah.
Kerbal
Right.
plushie.
He's back there somewhere. He's
Hang
packed
on.
up, ready to go to Wallops.
He's up there.
Oh yeah, he's up there
He's
for
up
you,
there.
Digi.
There's my jet.
But do you remember the 3D printed rockets? So you could build a rocket or a space plane or whatever in KSP, send the craft file to the company, and then you would get sent back a 3D printed version of your creation.
I
Yep.
have one back there somewhere.
They did it with for those of you who are 3D printing nerds. They did it with salt printing.
I think it was sandstone.
wow.
Sandstone?
Yeah.
Sandstone? I thought it was saltstone that they used.
I believe it was sandstone.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it was that particular technology, and it was quite good.
The
It's
company
quite
was known as Euclid, but I don't think they're any in operation anymore, unfortunately.
No, they did close down.
Hmm.
Yeah. The other thing I got bought recently, reasonably recently actually, was one of the 10-year anniversary coins for KSP.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did say that.
I did grab myself one of them. Updates breaking saves, which was reasonably regular.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned it before. I don't think it'll happen in KSP2. We've said that. But KSP1, when it was early access, they'd bring out a release, and every now and again, it would be a release that would break all of your saves. So you'd have to start your whole career or science or whatever it was again.
Yeah.
Which was annoying, but it was early access. It was
We
expected.
accepted that.
Yeah, yeah. That's the price of early access. But I don't suspect they'll do that in KSP2. By the time they released version 1.2 of Kerbal Space Program, there was 4.1 million lines of code in the game
Wow.
file. So
And I wonder
yeah,
how much of it was junk code.
well, indeed.
How much of
It's
it was
about that
Band-Aid?
stage. Yeah, there's about that stage where they started to clear up a lot of it as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did. I remember there being the big crunch.
And the last one, this was something that wasn't mentioned actually. Porkjet, who was a modder and then became employed by Squad.
Oh, this one
'Cause-
hurts.
Yeah, for a while they did like take on contract modders to make parts to put them into the game. Some were reasonably long-term contractors, and others were just for very specific things. And that happened a few times. And one of them was Porkjet's rocket parts. Now, when we were talking earlier about the fuel tanks and things misaligning, Porkjet came out or was contracted to build these things, and he redid all the fuel tanks, he redid the engines, and it was those engines that would have been the 3 different types. So you had different, was it boat-tailed and bare, and you could have a different attachment point, so you could put a smaller engine on a bigger fuel tank.
Yep.
Yep.
It was all of that, and they looked amazing. And he released a demo version, I believe, because I've got the file with a few of the tanks in, but they never made it into the game in the end.
They look so fantastic.
They did look
Really
really,
did.
really, really good.
For
And I'm not
anybody
sure.
that is listening and wants to get an idea of what they looked like, if you can't find the download, Restock these days is pretty similar to what it looked like.
Mm. I'm not sure what happened with that in the end. I don't know why it didn't. Maybe that was the point where KSP2 was starting to. Where Private Division came in at that point, maybe. I don't know.
Honestly, it's
So,
just speculation at that point.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know. I mean, we did get sort of versions of, because those different engine types, or sorry, variants, did come into the game in some form. But for what happened to those fuel tanks and whatnot, I don't know, because they were amazing.
Yeah.
And then, well, and that's really my nostalgia list. That's as far as I got. So the one to finish up on
The perfect
Is,
thing we can finish up on.
is favorite mods of the past. And
Good
not
times.
moderators. We're
That's-
talking about the modifications.
Yeah, not the
of game.
moderators. You know, we had some great moderators.
We do like
for sure.
moderators.
We love
They're
our
wonderful
mods.
people.
Respect your mods. Love them. Give them appreciation.
Yep.
The two I would
But
just
in-game
mention,
mods, my God. Yeah, go.
Kerbal Engineer has to have a mention because it was probably
Default,
one of
like-
the most important mods throughout the entire development of KSP and after 1.0 as well, until they brought in the Delta V stats eventually.
Oh yeah.
Even then, I still feel like Kerbal Engineer does a better job.
Oh yes, it absolutely does. The information it gives you is fantastic. But Kerbal Engineer was if you could only have one mod, Kerbal Engineer would be the choice for almost every player.
I think it would be
Yep.
my number 2.
Or would be number one.
Ooh.
Is it the other one that's on this list? It's just here.
No.
Oh.
I'll get to mine, or
okay.
if you want me to take it away, I can.
Oh no. The other one that was a must-have was Squeaky Kerbals. I don't know if it
'Cause it
still
was
exists, but it has to be mentioned. Squeaky Kerbals.
That one was so good.
So whenever you know the dog toy that squeaks, that sound. If the Kerbal ever bumped into anything or fell over, or it used to make that noise.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful thing. Anyway,
That was great. Matoro, what would have been number 2? What would have been number 1 if Kerbal Engineer was number 2?
I think I can live without everything else as long as I would be able to use WASD camera editor controls.
oh, I didn't think you were going to go there because it's not on the list.
Wow.
I was looking at CCAN just a second ago. I'm like, yeah, that is the one I can't live without.
Really?
I despise the stock camera controls.
They've never been brilliant.
Nope.
They do give you the ability to move wherever you wanted to.
I think that's my number 1 thinking about it.
Okay, fair. That's the number 1 VAB. The Kerbal Engineer would be the number 1 in flight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep, done. Do you want me to talk about part mods?
Yeah,
Because,
Digi,
oh my
yeah.
God, there are so many of them.
Yeah, you go on your part
guys,
mods.
Yeah. Near future propulsion. I'll start off there because that's actually a huge series. Near future, far future, a whole bunch of them in that particular series that are just phenomenal. They look really cool. They're beautifully designed and highly, highly recommend taking a look at them for the fun. Space Y lifters, which, as you can imagine, are related to Space X. They're meant to be designed in the same way of Space X. You know, they're if you're into remaking SpaceX rockets, there you go. That's all I can say. OPT space plane parts. I mean, they are the best space plane parts in my opinion.
Before we get too far away from Space Y, I just want to say, if you're looking at making SpaceX things in regards to part
Yes.
mods, Kerbal reusability expansion.
Yes, that is a very good accompanying DLC because you can reuse stages. That is a very good mod. I like that one.
Carry on.
I like the Mark IV space plane because it looks like Thunderbird too.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my God. Wow. That's a great reference. I love that. B9 Aerospace.
Oh, B9.
You want big rockets or you want big space planes or big everything? B9. Like, I can't say anything more than that. Kerbal aircraft expansion. Again, same sort of thing. What?
D-Magic.
D-Magic. Yes, D-Magic science parts. Yes. D-Magic.
And what was the name of that mod with all the little containers that T-Magic worked with, and the modular parts.
Ah,
The
see, modular bases. Wasn't it something like that?
Hold on, I think I actually have it.
Kerbal attachment system.
No.
Wait, what was
Kerbal
what mod?
attachment system was brilliant.
Which one are we trying to remember? Or what's the idea behind it? Sorry.
The one that universal storage. That's it.
Universal
yeah.
storage.
Universal storage. Yep.
That was awesome.
Remember that well. That was great. But I didn't have life support or anything like that, so it was never.
Yeah, but
really
even if you
too much
didn't
use
have
for
life
me.
support, universal storage linked in with D-Magic Orbital Science, so that you could put the science parts in those
Into
modules.
the thing, and then
yeah, it was really good.
It was a clever idea, very clever idea.
Kerbal
Particularly if you-
attachment system was great too. Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Kerbal
time.
inventory system before they added the inventory system.
Matoro
just
mentioned it
interrupting
earlier.
now.
No, you're right. The list is huge. Parts, like a lot of people made parts. Ven's part revamp. Ven's stock part revamp, as Matoro mentioned earlier. Phenomenal. I actually had Kerbal attachment system in my list. Look at that. There we go. Retro Future, very nice. And the Kerbal stock part expansion, which is apparently still maintained.
A lot of these mods are still maintained, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
surprisingly.
Even with the just CAS, for example, that's still maintained as far as I know. Even with the inbuilt construction mechanics.
Yeah.
It's
there you go,
honestly,
like,
it's just a much better system.
I am going to say, though, the one that doesn't make the cut, sorry everyone who likes this sort of thing, BD Armory is not one of the ones that I would consider to be on the best of part mods. BD Armory being the one that allows you to put guns on your planes and your rockets.
Do Kerbals count as parts?
I mean, if you crash them into Kerbin and they die, they probably turn into parts, but sure.
No, I was just
more
wondering if
context
my
would be
mod would
great.
fit in here. That's all.
Does their dust count as parts?
Poof.
I'm going to have to interject. Digi, mate, is running out of disk space.
Oh, fine. I did read this sort of stuff, and I'm trying to hurry it along. Settle down.
Oh, you did read it. Okay.
I did. You know,
That's fine.
I am a mature, seasoned veteran of podcasts and shit.
My apologies. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why I'm out of disk space, but it's whittling away.
Quick, start deleting things.
I've tried.
Quick.
On the fly.
All right.
Get rid of your cache files.
So that is it for my part mods list that I wanted to go through. Guys, favorite mods. Favorite mod.
Well, I was just going to list Kethane or Kethane. But apparently that's still under, I was looking today, that's still under development. But Kethane was one of the first, if not the first, resource mod where you could mine.
You could mine planets.
Mine the Kethane and turn it into fuel and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually wrote a document years ago, and I actually found it. And it was for new people to KSP, and it talked about the 4 basic mods that everybody should use or have access to, or at least know about. And that was Kerbal Engineer Redux, because it's a full name. Kerbal Alarm Clock, because that functionality wasn't built in. Precise Node, so that you didn't have to pull on the little arrows in order to adjust your maneuvering nodes, because otherwise that was ridiculous. And Transfer Window Planner, so that you could figure out when you should be heading off to the other planets without wasting all your fuel. And that was it. Those were the 4 mods that I said these things probably should be stock, and some of the functionality did become stock, but not enough in my mind. So those were the 4 mods, and I'll throw in a honorable mention to the mod I wrote, which was Kerbal Hiring System. So
We'll use that.
or the Red Panda hiring system at one point. So, but it's KSI no, I forget what it's called, but it's the hiring mod, and I wrote it because they had a linear increase in Kerbals. So after a period, it was costing me more than $1 million Kerbal bucks per Kerbal, and if you wanted to build a colony or something like that, it became ridiculous. And when you add in the fact that you had to train pilots by sending them out and then bringing them back to Kerbin before they got the additional ability to pilot, while once you got past the point in the development tree, your probe cores had all of it instantly and cost less than $50K, while a Kerbal pilot cost $1 million plus, and you had to go train him. It's like, yeah. So that's why I wrote that mod. So
yeah,
and it's now still maintained by Linux Guru Gamer. So
there you go.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say about mods.
And Jim in chat, even Scatterer, X Science.
There's so many we could mention.
Yeah, there's so many.
And
That's why I wrote that thing with the
updated.
The thing I wrote about those 4 was because I felt like that gave data and functionality. Everything else I felt was just making it fancier and adding more functionality, but these were like core things. They were mods that were functionality that I really wished had been built into the game. The idea of a transfer window planner, that really would have been handy to have built into the game. This was not something that you winged it if you were with NASA. You didn't build a rocket, get it up into orbit and say, all right, you think we got enough fuel? I don't know. Let's just go.
We'll do it live. It'll be fine.
I want to interject here real quick before we keep going, but there's so much we could talk about here. I think it might be warranted for us to do a part 2 Kerbal 1 special, if you guys agree.
Yes.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah.
Just because,
tidy it up here and we continue next time.
Yeah, because we've just been talking about this for a while as is.
You were already over an hour and a half, so for this podcast.
Let's wrap it up. Favorite mods, guys. Aki said Kethane. I'm going to say one of 2. Either tweak scale, 2 scale parts up and down.
You hurt me.
Perfect, beautiful, phenomenal. It helps so much when you're recreating starships. And Infernal Robotics. Infernal Robotics, because it allows me to do really cool starship things, like building ships from Robotech, like building VF1s. Like
be real, you just want to build the Enterprise.
No, I don't, because the thing doesn't fly well.
Okay, fine. You want to build a Borg cube, right?
I mean, that doesn't fly well.
You just haven't tried hard enough.
Drag issues.
Yeah, true. A few drag issues, exactly. Yeah. It moves like a brick.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, my favorite mod, I said it, WASD. But if I had to go with like a part mod, it would be Kerbal Reusability Expansion.
The business.
I can't remember the name of my favorite mod.
Extra planetary launch pad.
Really the one that I loved the most was the one that let you see the center of thrust versus the vehicle for your jets. The
RCS build aid.
RCS was it build aid?
Yes.
Because you could literally adjust where the RCS was in order to get the thrust perfect, which made docking so much easier.
Yeah, RCS build aid.
And since I love building things in orbit, I got really good at docking things, but I always got frustrated when the RCS wasn't properly centered on a vessel. And so I really loved that mod, when I got it, and I was like, oh, look what I can do. Look, I can move this, and then I know what my torque is in this direction versus that direction. And it was that plus Precise Node were game changers for me.
Yeah.
Really, we could do a whole episode just on mods.
I think that might not be a bad idea.
Anyway,
KSP1
I love
mods.
KSP1. I still do. I just got burnt out of it after playing well over 3,000 hours. So
I think
Relatable.
we all did. Let's be fair. We all did.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's it to do with mods.
And I think that's about it to do with our Kerbal section for this podcast, which has taken up quite a bit of time. But hey, it's our
And
Kerbal 1
memory.
special. Part 1.
It is. Part 1.
Yay.
It's a nice trip down memory lane.
It is.
Hmm.
We'll have to pick this up in 2 weeks with mods.
I like that
Do
idea.
a focused on just, come down to like categorizing mods in some way and then talking about some in each category and that kind of thing.
Well, Jim in chat, Ferrum Aerospace, FAR, we spoke about that recently. I mean, all
man, I
the
remember FAR.
resizing
Oh, yeah.
mods as well.
You had to
the,
have FAR
real
when the
solar
soup was
system.
there. That's when I used
Yes.
FAR.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean,
I-
when the soup went away, I didn't feel like I needed FAR so much, but when we had the souposphere, FAR felt like it was required.
It's
Yeah.
another mod that's still being developed. It's still there. I'm interested to see what it does now. I did try it and it changed a lot of stuff, so I need to go back and have a go
Anyway.
through it.
Yes.
Onward.
Point is, we could talk about this for quite a while.
Yeah.
And saving mod discussions for a podcast all their own sounds like a good idea. So, on that news, I will leave it to you, gentlemen. Do you want to move into the next section, or shall we just tie a bow on this one for today?
If you're running out of disk space,
I've got
Let's tie a
300
bow
to
on
go.
it.
Let's do it. Or 400.
If we want to do a part 2 of this, let's call it. Let's call
let's-
it, and we will do part 2 next time.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
And we'll hopefully have some interesting real science space things from you for the next 2 weeks.
Yes, because I'm planning to go to potentially Falcon Heavy this Wednesday if it actually gets the go-ahead, as well as the final launch of the Antares 230 Plus vehicle on August 1st. So I shall have some
Yeah.
fun stories by the time the next episode rolls around. But before
Delicious.
we wrap this up,
Hey, can I quickly just bring up? Did you guys hear about the part that landed on the Western Australian coast?
oh yes,
Part of a fuel
Yeah.
tank?
Oh,
Wasn't
yeah.
It was
sure.
apparently from the Indian Space Program.
Yeah. You know where they're going to move it to?
tell me it's Esperance.
Esperance.
Yes.
Esperance. They're talking about Esperance, moving it to Esperance to stay with Skylab. Don't know whether it's actually going to happen or not, but that was one of the suggestions. So, just putting it out there. That's kind of cool.
Amazing.
yeah, it'd been in the sea for a while because it had a lot of barnacles on it.
It's covered in barnacles.
Well-
Anyway, yes, please move on.
Before we move on and close things out for the day, I have one request of you, Digi. We cannot escape without one little tidbit of That's Not Science.
Oh, one little tidbit. You only
One
want
little
one?
tidbit. Give us one,
Just
if you would,
one?
my good man.
I mean, look, I can give you 2. How
Fine.
about I give you 2, just for
Give
the
us two.
sake of it? First, how much is a lethal dose of cringe?
You really
Episode
try that
One of
every single
Boosters and
week.
Space tape.
Aki, you've listened to every single episode, back to back. haven't you?
Episode
you
1 of
still
Boosters
watching?
and Space tape. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, last one. Which type of PPE is required while performing political science experiments?
Political science experiments.
I mean, I was thinking it was a tinfoil hat. That'd be the kind of PPE you need.
Or if it's political, then a nice shield of MPs stood between you and the
Hey.
experiment.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, fine. I'll give you one last one.
Give it.
Can you trace a rock band back to its quarry of origin? You're all welcome. That's it.
No, it's done me.
But
That's all
the
you're
question
getting.
is, does counter question? If you keep following them forward, do they just become a metal band?
Only if you put them under pressure. Wait.
Exactly. Now I have David Bowie and Queen. Thank you.
Yes. Oh.
Success.
Thank you for that, Digi. That was a lovely way to tie a bow upon this, because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody listening, people of all ages, that's going to go ahead and close us out for this evening. It has been a lovely part one, unintended part one. Yes,
Well,
Aki?
it's just 'cause obviously we're not doing the real space on this one.
Correct. We
But-
will save that for next time.
Yeah. So what I was going to do was just touch on some real space projects, real space topics that we were covering way back when we're doing KSP1 stuff. And just as a teaser, I was going to talk about.
We can
Planet
still talk
X.
about it next time.
Yeah. I was just
Yeah,
for lead in for
yeah,
next time.
Go ahead.
So talking about Planet X, because there was a big thing about Planet X or Planet 9 or whatever, Planet 10, whatever you want to call it. But this mystery planet, I was going to talk about where they're at with that at the moment. And also, remember the beam? The big, what was it? The
Bigelow Expendable
Bigelow-
Aero something module?
activity module, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's news on that. I wonder what happened to that. What happened to these things?
Oh yeah, what did
Good
happen?
stuff to lead
And,
into next time.
I will talk
It's
about it
still
all next
there.
time. It is still there. Yeah.
Correct.
No spoilers, Red.
They're oh, okay. I was gonna say I thought we
No,
could
I
resolve
can't
that in
talk
one
about it.
sentence, but I'll be quiet now.
You know what? You took us in, Aki. Would you like to take us out, or shall I?
Oh, crikey.
I can do
didn't
it.
think about that.
It's fine.
Go on.
No, Matoro, go do it.
Alrighty.
Because we're gonna
Aki,
finish.
lead us
can
in
do
next
his
time.
Script next time.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you once again for tuning in to Boosters and Space Tape Relaunched, the podcast about Kerbal Space Program, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. We'll be back soon in 2 weeks' time for the next episode 13.
Oh, no. Episode
Yes.
13. Remember what happened
Episode
last time
13.
in episode 13?
Save it for next time. We'd like to thank Popsky for our commissioned intro and outro music, which you can find on his Bandcamp at popsky.bandcamp.com. That is POPSKYY. You can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, whenever Digi gets to it, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Boosters and Space Tape. You can shoot us any questions or feedback to boostersandsspacetape@gmail.com. To keep up with the live recordings here on Twitch, you can follow here on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Matoro. That is Matoro. You can subscribe to Boosters on Space Tape. Boosters on Space Tape? Boosters and Space Tape on various platforms such as iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and whatever else you can think of because Aki made us discoverable.
Everything.
Everything. Everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, one final time, until part 2 of the Kerbal 1 special, I have been Matoro, and with me have been my wonderful friends, Digital Psychosis, Kinesis Gaming,
Cheerio.
and rejoining us at long last and greatly welcomed back, the one and only, the Red Panda.
Gazebo.
Yes! And that's how we're gonna call it an evening, everybody. Thank you once again. We'll catch you soon for more Kerbal, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. Have a good one, everybody. Ignore my cursor on the cameras. I'm doing the best I can right now. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.